For those of us that learned that the baseline of life is adrenaline and cortisol, the hormones of stress, what do we do when we're trying to heal and we're just trying to relax and we're just trying to be peaceful and we're just trying to remove ourselves from the chaos and the drama and the gossip and everything that's been familiar to us? It's challenging, isn't it? It's challenging to step away from drama and gossip. It's challenging to not give in to the hype of the adrenaline and cortisol, all the stuff that you're used to, right? It's wild that we can be attracted to something like that simply because we were raised with that, right? It's totally wild. But then now all of a sudden, you're trying to take a step back and unfamiliarize yourself with the hormones of stress, adrenaline and cortisol, right? So when a life without the hormones of stress, adrenaline and cortisol is boring. I remember all the times that I either subconsciously or unconsciously involved myself in drama and gossip. Why? To distract myself. Definitely to distract myself. Look at that light. That looks like something out of the universe, out of like a galaxy. That's wild. Yeah, when I really started to step away from drama and gossip, and I'm not all the way there. I think that there's going to be a point in my life when I just kind of totally switch off. And I just, recognize, like, I don't want that anymore. Getting to that point is challenging because the familiarity is still there, and, I ask myself, it's like, well, what the fuck else do I do, right? And sometimes it's challenging, other times it's like, all right, you know what? I'm just going to continue to unfamiliarize myself. I'm going to get used to the peace. I'm going to get used to the relaxation. I'm going to get used to the lack of stress. I don't need it. And for the longest time, I actually thought that is what life is all about. Adrenaline and cortisol. I thought that this baseline, this baseline is normal. And the more I learn about stress, the more I learn about adrenaline and cortisol, and that is not a normal, natural, or healthy baseline, I just realize how much unhealth, I'm going to label it as, how much unhealth I've experienced in my life as a result of that. It's really funny. It's really wild. It's not like haha funny. It's kind of just like, oh, that's kind of strange. That's kind of interesting, right? And just like, I feel like the sun is going to swallow me whole. It's like, oh, I'm coming for you. You didn't celebrate me this time. I did, though. You're right there. Looking like this right here. Hold on. Where is it? There we go. Oh my goodness. That looks like something out of Christopher Nolan's Interstellar. Like when Matthew McConaughey is just like out in the middle of fucking nowhere. Right? Yeah. Unfamiliarizing myself with chaos, with drama, with gossip. How challenging is it to, especially when you're familiar with it, when you're used to it, when you're comfortable with it, when you see people talking, and you know that it's probably drama and gossip, right? How challenging is it to be like, nope, and just go the other way? It can be challenging. It depends on what it is that you're looking for. It depends on what it is that you want. But it's fascinating because kind of like where I'm at right now, I am unfamiliarizing myself with that dynamic, with those elements. or I should say unfamiliarizing myself from, right? Not with. With implies that I am still there. From is the separation. It can be challenging, right? Sometimes I find myself like pacing back and forth. What the fuck do I do with myself? Well, you chill the fuck out and you sit down and do something else. Stare at a fucking wall. Hey, wall. Let me tell you about my oh, you don't want to hear about it either? You don't want to hear about the drama? You don't want to hear about the gossip? Alrighty then. Throw some Jim Carrey in the mix. Yeah, when you are familiar with the hormones of stress, adrenaline and cortisol, and you're trying to unfamiliarize yourself away from that, and you're finding yourself just trying to walk away from it when it happens, it's challenging. This goes back to another video I made maybe like 2 weeks ago, right? When you finally choose to do things differently because you realize that you need to heal, because if you realize that you need to heal and that... Wait, hold on a second. When you try that again. When you finally decide to do things differently because you realize that you need to heal, and you realize that healing means to do things differently, but it's challenging because healing is challenging. It is. It's challenging to sit with the emotions that arise, right? But when you finally realize that you want to do things differently, even though it is challenging because the different thing does not give you the same high as the other thing that you've always done, which is drama and gossip of finding out that somebody else's life sucks a whole lot worse than yours does, kind of strange and unhealthy, right? It's strange and unhealthy to be glued into a narrative that somebody else's life is the fucking Titanic, right? And then to feel better about yourself because of that. Like, you know, when I really look at that from an actual place of conscious awareness at this time of my life, it's like, yeah, that's not healthy. It's not healthy to get high off of somebody else's struggle, you know? And I really think that, I mean, not all drama and gossip are the same, but shit, why the fuck else are you getting into drama and gossip? You want to hear that somebody else's life is a lot worse off than yours, right? Makes you feel better about your potentially still shit situation, right? At least your potentially still shit situation is better than theirs, and that makes you feel better. It's kind of like when we see on the news that all of these terrible fucking things are happening in different places, and we're just fucking living vicariously through all of that stuff. Right? I don't know if that's kind of like sadistic, right? You get pleasure from knowing that other people are doing far worse than you are. I don't know. Doesn't really sound healthy to me. But when you're trying to unfamiliarize yourself away from that entire dynamic, it's challenging. Why? Because you're very familiar with the adrenaline and cortisol, the hormones of stress, right? When you don't get the same fucking hit, the same fucking high from the same fucking thing, you're going to feel different, right? So you're maybe not going to really know what to do with yourself, right? And that's both where I'm at and where I'm not at, because I'm moving on from it now, but like sometimes like my mind wants to suck me back into the hormones of stress, the adrenaline and cortisol. Hey, look at that over there. They're talking about somebody. Go join in. Find out how fucking awful that person's life is. Yeah, no, let's not do that. Because that's really what drama and gossip is. You're just talking about other people because maybe you feel insecure about yourself. Maybe you feel like shit about yourself. Maybe you're not happy with your life and you want to hear about how somebody else's life is worse off than yours. I don't know. But all I know is that right now I am unfamiliarizing myself away from the adrenaline and cortisol. You know, whenever that stuff pops up just like that real quick, just to give you a little... it's different, right? But if you're like acting like a fucking parasite and... the drama, the gossip... I need it. for my pain body, like Eckhart Tolle says. I need it. I live off of it. I thrive off of it. Yeah, that's that's not healthy.